Vadachari Jaya Kunja Bihari. Prabhupada ki, Supreme Data Nityananda Prabhu ki, Supreme Purushottam Sachinandana Gaura Hari ki, Shri Paladna Shinga Bhagavana ki, Sankirtan Yagya ki, Brihat Mridanga Book Distribution ki, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gopremanande Samabheda Bhakta Vrinda ki. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Guranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. So before we speak on Srimad Bhagavatam, my spiritual master instructed me that we should offer prayers to the Bhagavatam. Because Bhagavatam is stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Tulya Bhagavata, Vibhu Sarva Shrai Pradishloke Pratyakshana. Just as Krishna's Vibhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so also Srimad Bhagavatam. So this will just take a couple minutes. If you recite some of the verses with me if you know. Narayanam namaskrityam naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudiraye Vedi Ramayaneshchaiva Purane Bharate Tata Adavante Chamadye Chahari Saivatra Giyate Mukam Karodi Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam. Traditionally in Orissa, they have, every village has what they call the bhagavatungi. It's a house where, before television, everybody in the village, we all come together every day for their entertainment of hearing Śrīmad Bhagavatam. And there's a traditional song they used to sing before they would speak of Bhagavatam. My Guru Maharaj was singing this from his childhood, and he liked singing this before class. Paramananda he Madhava Patunda Luchi Makaranda Se Makaranda Panakori Anande Bolo Hari Hari Harinka Name Vandavela Harikori Ve Chakadola Se Chakadolanka Paraye Manamo Rahu Nirantare Manamo Nirantare Rahu Ha Krishna Boli Jiva Jao Ha Krishna Boli Jao Jiva Motiu Dada Rada Dava Motiu Dada Rada Dava Motiu Dada Rada Dava Dharma Projita Kaita Vota Paramoni Matsunam Satam Vedyam Vastava Matta Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamune Krite Kimba Paraishvara Sadyo Hridyavahudyate Chakriti Vishu Shubhastakshanat Nigamako Pataro Galitam Phalam Shukamukad Amrita Dravasam Yutam Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Mohoroho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavuka Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Nice to see Līlā Purushottam Prabhu and company. I was getting worried. They started driving at 3 o'clock this morning. Nice to see you.
Friendly reminder of our translators. We will be grateful if you speak, not too fast.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj. Remind me again if I forget sometimes. So I have a very difficult job in front of me, and I need the blessings of all the devotees here. We were mentioning a few days ago in Czech that Maharaj, years ago, had told me that they did a survey in America, and they found that people in America were more afraid of speaking in public than they were of death. And that's not counting speaking in front of Krishna-ksetra Maharaj and Prabhu and so many wonderful. We'll just speak of Goridas Pandit and Hridaya Chaitanya. Very difficult to speak in front of. So please, all of you forgive me and bless me. So we want to speak a little something from the 10th canto. This is chapter 30 about the Ras Līlā. And this is text number 14. Please repeat. unmatta-vaco gopyaḥ. unmatta-vaco gopyaḥ. kṛṣṇa-anveṣaṇa-kātarāḥ. kṛṣṇa-anveṣaṇa-kātarāḥ. līlā bhagavatas-tasta. līlā bhagavatas-tasta. anucakrus tad-ātmikāḥ. anucakrus tad-ātmikāḥ. Others? unmatta-vaco gopyaḥ.
kṛṣṇa-anveṣaṇa-kātarāḥ. anucakrus tad-ātmikāḥ.
unmatta-vaco gopyaḥ. kṛṣṇa-anveṣaṇa-kātarāḥ. līlā anucakrus tad-ātmikāḥ.
Me Matajis?
unmatta-vaco gopyaḥ. kṛṣṇa-anveṣaṇa-kātarāḥ. līlā bhagavatas-tasta. anucakrus tad-ātmikāḥ.
Iti. Thus. Unmatta. Maddened. Vacaḥ. Speaking words. Gopyaḥ. The gopīs. Krishna-anveṣaṇa. By searching for Krishna. Kātarāḥ. Distraught. Līlāḥ. The transcendental pastimes. Bhagavataḥ. Of Him. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. tad-ātmikāḥ. Each of them. He. Indeed. anucakruḥ. They acted out. Tat-ātmikāḥ. Becoming absorbed in thought of Him. BBT translation. Having spoken these words, the gopīs, distraught from searching for Krishna, began to act out His various pastimes, fully absorbed in thoughts of Him. Gauranga-gana-gotra-goloruharam Gauranga-gura-tama-gopyada-kolpa-briksham Gopala-gada-ratidam Yati-singha-gora-govinda-deshi-kavaram Satatam namami. So I'll read you a little something from a few different commentaries on this. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, the previous verses I should say, explaining how the gopīs, out of intense madness of separation, Krishna just left the Ras Līlā, the gopīs began searching for him, and they became unmatta, as this verse also describes, it unmatta. Unmadana means that they became completely mad. And in their madness, they started speaking to the plants and trees. And at this point, in text 14, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the gopis realize the trees aren't going to say anything. It's not going to help anything. They can't speak back. So then Vishwanath begins to explain something which, in my light, indicates something about the internal consciousness that drama is based on. And this is something of it's a long subject. I've done this before in maybe 5 days. We're going to try to do it in 45 minutes or something today. But our thesis is that all the different arts begin with the Ras Līlā. And the conclusion, or the best of all the different arts, is drama. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur speaks something about the internal consciousness on which drama is based. He says that the gopis, after asking all these inanimate objects and trees and things, they came to this stage of unmatta. This is a real first-class position of drama. That one becomes Krishna conscious, and becoming completely absorbed in Krishna, as this verse describes, tad-ātmikāḥ, they become completely absorbed. Actually, the verse means that they become one with Krishna. And we'll speak something later from Kavi Karnapur about that. They become one with Krishna. At that point, the gopis, they start thinking that I should take the opportunity to make myself appear like Krishna and act out his pastimes. And if I do that, then it'll give me some momentary relief from my suffering of separation, and it'll help my dear friends, the gopis, who are also suffering. And as the gopis, Vishwanath explains, remember each of Krishna's pastimes, their minds become more and more absorbed in Krishna, tad-ātmikāḥ, and then they begin to act out those pastimes, beginning with the killing of Krishna, with the killing of Putana, not Krishna. So this also is some explanation of the effects that drama has on the consciousness. And even we can have something else. We can have a class in person, and we ask the devotees to come and sit close because it creates a kind of energy. But you're watching the same class, and perhaps some of you are, on YouTube or something. It's not the same. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Harinam Chintamani explains that when you're in the physical presence of Vaishnavas, there's a kind of bhakti shakti which comes from their bodies. It's different. It's not the same taking class on Zoom as it is to be in the presence with a particular person. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also explains that there's 9 verses now which describe how the gopis began to act out Krishna's pastimes. And the next verse, text 15, describes that one of the gopis acted like acted like Putana, and and another gopi began to suck from her breast, acting like Krishna. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Kavi Karnapur and Ananda Vrindavan Champu both explain that it was Yogamaya who, seeing the necessity, agreed to take the role of the demons, like Putana and others. Otherwise, it wasn't really favorable to the mood of the particular gopis. So Srila Prabhupada was very, very fond of drama, and the first mention that I found about it was in 1969 in a letter that Prabhupada wrote to Bhadrabardhan about some dramas that the Columbus Temple was putting on. And Prabhupada was very much encouraging them. In another letter in 1971, Prabhupada wrote, "So you've got some talent for writing and producing dramas. And now Krishna has given you the opportunity for dovetailing your talents in his service. It's very good. When I go there, I shall be very glad to see these dramas enacted." And yes, I acted the part of Advaita Prabhu in one such drama. I organized that theater performance in my youth. My friends were trained up and we performed, and it was very much appreciated by the highest class of men in Kolkata. We were invited to many places to perform the drama. Lord Chaitanya inaugurated these Vaishnav dramas, it is true, but where to obtain such copies of these plays, I don't know. While performing such dramas, always the actors must be Vaishnavas. Outsiders may help, but devotees should have all the major roles. Srila Prabhupada, in one lecture, he commented about this drama that he played at Vaitacharya, and he said they practiced for many weeks. And when they first did the drama, when they finished the drama, because drama, like all art, it requires three things. It requires the act of the painting. It requires the artist. But even with the artist and the painting, art is incomplete without a third factor, and that is someone to appreciate it. It should be a qualified person. So there's some interaction. When we're doing some drama, when we're speaking, when we're singing, there's some interaction with the devotees. And so when they finished their drama, Srila Prabhupada told the story, they were waiting for some reaction from the audience. And initially they were disappointed because everybody was just quiet and nobody clapped or anything. And then they noticed that everyone was crying. It was a good drama. So, Srila Rupa Goswami has given a book called Nataka Chandrika, and he speaks about the different arts, and he says that there's 4 primary arts: Gita, or singing, Nritya, or dance, Vadya, music, and drama, Natya. Actually, these go in a krama, in a sequence. First is Gita, then is Vadya, music, then Nritya, dance, and then finally drama. And in Nataka Chandrika, he speaks about the origin of the Natya Shastra. And he says that in every Treta Yuga after Satya Yuga, the consciousness of the people begins to degenerate. And seeing that, people were no longer, the mass of people were no longer on the platform of Paramahamsa, the Devatas, they approached Lord Brahma and they asked him, "Oh, Pitamaha, you please create some kind of art by which will be attractive to people and by which they can get some instructions." And so then Lord Brahma at that time created the Natya Veda, Rupa Goswami explains, or the 5th Veda, the science of drama. And that art of drama was handed over to Bharat Muni and his 100 sons, and they began to carry on the tradition of drama. But later on, very interestingly, Rupa Goswami says, something which sometimes happens with drama, that the Bharat Muni and his sons became a little arrogant. Sometimes it can also go to our head. And they disrespected some rishis who were attending one of their dramas. And the sages became angry with them then and cursed them that you're going to lose your Brahminical status and you'll all fall down to the earth planet. So then later, after killing Britrasura, Indra was occupying the heavenly throne. And then after Indra came Nahusha, and Nahusha saw how this beautiful art of drama was there in the heavenly planets. And so he had this desire to bring it to the earth. And understanding this curse that the rishis had previously given, he brought drama to this earth. So there's many different famous Gaudiya dramas. Probably the most famous is Lalita Madhav and Vidagdha Madhav of Rupa Goswami. And there's, as we were mentioning yesterday, the Jagannath Vallabha Natakam of Ramananda Roy. There's the Chaitanya Chandradoya Natakam of Kavi Karnapur. Many different dramas. And if we contemplate this subject matter, we can see that drama comes from the Ras Līlā. I'm going to tell you a few things, a little story from a book called Vaidagdha Vilas, which was written by a disciple of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. His name was Manohar Das, and he compiled this at Govinda Kund at Govardhan Hill. His samadhi is still there today. It's a very amazing book, which, by the blessings of the devotees, we hope to properly publish someday. But we had it translated some years ago. That Krishna Shiman Rasarasaram Bivam Sivata Tatastitaha Karshan-venu Swanar Gopir Gopinata Shriestunaha. That once at Vamsivat, Krishna decided that it was an opportune time to perform the Ras Līlā. And Krishna began to play his flute, his venu. And he began to call the gopīs. So this is the origin of drama. And drama is all about, in art, this is the origin of the arts. Arts and drama are all about coming together. They're all about union, about sharing something from our consciousness. This is the business of an artist, to share some feelings through the medium of painting, through the medium of drama, through the medium of singing or dance or whatever, and sharing that with some other person. And so again, three things are required: the art, the artist, and the person appreciating that. And the artist will naturally speak according to the persons that are present before him. In a similar way, you'll be having some dramas here, and these are dramas that you're doing for devotees. And I've seen some drama on the street. Devotees used to do sometimes in Harinam. And for the non-devotees. And it's a very, very different kind of drama when we're doing something there. So Manohar Das describes that when Krishna began blowing on his flute, and he's calling out, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in one song, he's calling out the name of Radhe, Radhe, Dako He Sham. You come. That's the sound of Krishna's flute. Then the gopis, they began to go there. And we see that gradually all the different arts were manifested. They began to play some musical instruments, Vadya, and then they began to sing, Gita, and then they began to clap their hands. And that those are the origin of the tals. And according to the Bhakti Ratnakara of Narahari Chakravarti Thakur, and also Manohar Das, this is the origin of all the different ragas and raginis, all the origin of the different tals. Tals are the different beats. It's also, it's the origin of all the different arts. And we'll try to say something a little bit about that. First of all, the gopis, they heard the sound of Krishna's flute, and they wanted to answer that call. And so they went there, and the first thing they did, they began to decorate the forest. And Manohar Das describes very elaborately the beautiful flower decorations that they were making, because flower decoration is an important art. And also some of the gopis began making paintings as backdrops and things. And some of the gopis began to cook, because cooking is also one of the arts. And they began to sing in anticipation for Krishna to come there, and the gopis are playing different instruments. This again is the origin of the ragas and raginis, and the origin of the tals. And then when Krishna came, they began to dance. I'm a little confused because it's a really long subject. And so many different instruments were there. It's described the mridanga, the pakoj, the saranga, the mandir, the sitar, tambura, the venu, the flute, the xylophone, the veena, maraj, rudra veena, brahma veena. So many different instruments were present there. And this is the origin of all the different arts. So then Lord Brahma, he ordered Ratri Devi, or evening, that you should come. And Manohar Das describes this. You can chant Hare Krishna in response. Brahma bole dibe tume puna chandra loye, Krishna lila mandale te koro ho udaye bolo Hare Krishna. that time, Lord Brahma, he called out for Ratri Devi, the evening. You please come. Brahma Bodhi Dibi Tumi Purnachandra Loy. He also called for the Purnima, not Purnim, but Purnima, the full moon, that you come and you rise. Krishna Lila Mandalete Koroho Udait. You rise in this circle of Krishna Lila. And along with that Purnima, he told them, you bring the 6 different seasons so that all the different flowers can blossom and fill the Ras Lila with their fragrance. And so they did. All the different seasons appeared and all the different flowers appeared. And at that time, all the different devatas heard something about it. And the Gana Vidya, Nityapara, Shruti, Vidyadhari, Ramba, Gandharvini, and all the different ragas and raginis, they all appeared there. And then Krishna at that time, I haven't done this in a while. Krishna began to sing. What did he sing? Sa-re-ga-ma pa-da-ni sa-sa-ni-da-pa ma-ga-re-sa. You can see who had some music lessons, and we can see who hasn't in a long time. And then Srimati Radharani and all the different Yuteshwaris, they also began to accompany Krishna singing like this. When we do kirtan, Narottam Das Thakur taught that before you begin singing, you play the musical instruments. You let them talk. And they would sound the mridanga. They would sound the kartals to give them some opportunity to speak for themselves. And so in the same way, before singing, they would sing the different notes. Sa-re-ga-ma pa-da-ni-sa. And then the rhythm began to start. And the sound was so amazing, Manohar Das says, that Seshadev, Ananta Sesh, began to nod. He liked it very much, which caused some problems in the universe. He started rocking out, you can say. And the Earth planet and different planets were all shaking, and everyone became completely astonished. And the devatas, they began to shower down different flowers and things. And then the gopis began to sing in Sri Rag, and raginis like the Gauri and the Sabari. And those gopis, he says, they're the embodiment of all those ragas. So, this thing. And then Srimati Radharani requested Krishna that you should sing something then. And then Krishna says, okay, I'll sing, but then later you have to sing. And then when Krishna started singing in such a beautiful way, and that singing is a very intimate thing because it's a manifestation of our emotions. It's an opportunity for our emotions to come out of the heart. And when more than one person sings together, what do we call that? We call it harmony. And any scientist can tell you we want to, when we come together and sing together and we get the same note together, on a subtle level, you harmonize and we come close together. That's why I was reading some time back one sociologist named Diana Leaf Christian. Some of you may know of her. She's probably the world's foremost authority on community building. And according to her, just a little community note, she says there's 4 different pillars of a community, and you have to have good economy, you have to have management, you have to have conflict resolution. And the 4th thing which is required is glue. You have to have something which binds everybody together. Now, she's not a devotee, and she's a historian something, and she's studied cultures and communities all over the world. And according to her, every successful community has something which binds it together. And according to her, traditionally, there's 4 types of glue. And what are those 4 types of glue? People eat together. That's why your mother used to tell you to come to dinner with the family, right? And that's why devotees take meals together. In every community that's somewhat successful, they take some meals together. The second thing they would do together is storytelling. And historically, throughout the world, all successful communities, they have storytelling, which they're able to communicate some moral stories and things to help people. The third thing is people sing together. And by singing together, they harmonize. And the fourth thing is they dance together. So she says these are 4 elements of glue. Even if you have good economic basis, great management, good conflict resolution, if there's no glue, then your community won't work and people won't stay together. And on the other hand, even if those other 3 things are terrible, you have lousy management and no good financial things and no good conflict resolution. If you have glue, then the community will somewhat stay together. And in our understanding, mantratas, tantratas, chidram, there may be some chidras, some fault there, but sarvam karoti nischidram. All that chidra, that fault will go away. Anusankirtanam tava. It's a verse from the 8th canto of Bhagavatam. With the chanting of the holy name, all that chidra will go away. So in the case of our movement, these 4 elements of glue are also something by which we'll overcome any different problems. So Krishna began to sing in such a wonderful way. And when he began to sing, suddenly the forest became blackish, like a blackish blue cloud. And Krishna's friend Bhattu, Madhavananda, who was also there, his complexion changed to blackish. And all the animals and birds, they also became black. And seeing that what had happened, Bhattu became very, very ecstatic and started dancing and clapping his hands, Bhattu's Madhavananda. And then Srimati Radharani, she smiled. And then she began to sing, the Gandharva Raga. And gradually that blackish color disappeared and the forest became a golden color. And seeing the singing of Radha and Krishna, the personified ragas and raginis, they were astonished and they became embarrassed. And they went to visit Lord Brahma and they said that this is an amazing thing. So then Lord Brahma sat them down and told them, he said that they told him that these songs used to stay in our bodies, but now we're finding them here all over the place. How is it possible? And Lord Brahma smiled and said that you should go to your father and ask him, who's the father of all the ragas and raginis? It's Lord Shiva. And he told them that also he's Lord Shiva, although he's my son in one sense, he's also my guru of music. I've learned singing and music from him. And also Narad Muni and Ramba, all the different Apsaras, Bharat Muni, they learned singing from him. So you should go and ask him what's going on. And so they went to Mount Kailash and they bowed down to Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva gave some ashirvad, some blessing, and offered them some seats and asked them, why are you looking so depressed? And they made some report that Krishna's singing along with the Braj gopis, and it's put us to shame. And when he heard that, then Lord Shiva began to dance in ecstasy. And his good wife, Devi, Bhagavati, inquired what's going on. And then she realized, oh, these are our children, these ragas and raginis. And Lord Shiva became calm and sat down and said, now listen, Krishna is my father. I've taken birth from his forehead. Krishna is the only Lord of all lords, and he's the cause of all causes. And Vrindavan is the supreme spiritual will, so you should go and reside there. And Krishna is actually the real father of all the different ragas and raginis. So, then there's a long, beautiful description of dance. In his Nanda Vrindavan Champu, in the 18th chapter, Kavi Karnapur uses the same word in the first verse, in this verse, text 14 from the 30th chapter. He says, Unmada eva, urmil maili, samujas tasmin hridayam avishya hridayasya, Krishnakare Krishnamakkve Karye Karanatam Hetutvam Praptatvati. He explains that the gopis, when they were feeling so much separation from Krishna, so let's back up a little bit with our presentation about the origin of the different arts. It begins with the Ras Līlā. And then at some point, Krishna disappears from the Ras Līlā, putting the gopis into feelings of separation. And then what happens is the climax of all the different arts, which is drama. Because drama traditionally has all the arts in it. There's music, tradition, there's live music in the drama. There's singing in the drama. There's dancing in the drama. There's painted backdrops in the drama. There's some prasadam at the end of the drama, and sometimes as part of the drama. All the different arts are found within drama. But drama is the best of all the different arts. And Kavi Karnapur says that the gopis, feeling intense separation from Krishna, brought Krishna there. And Jiva Goswami, in his Sandarbhas, he explains that separation or viraha means external separation, but internal union. And Krishna at that time entered into the bodies of the gopis. And that's drama. And that's why also we see traditionally in Braj, at the conclusion of a Ras Līlā drama, the couple who played Radha and Krishna, they'll come and sit down, and all the different persons who are watching the drama, they come and they offer flowers and they worship them, because it's considered that Radha and Krishna are personally present there. Krishna's entered into them. Drama is not something impersonal, but just as the impersonalists, they want to become one with everybody, that's affected in one sense through Vaishnava drama. Vaishnava drama and Hari Katha is such a thing, it brings everybody together. And this is one reason why Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he said that we can't separate Katha from Kirtan. And he said that just as Srimati Radharani is a Sarup Shakti of Krishna, so also Krishna Katha is a Sarup Shakti of Krishna Nam. Krishna Kirtan is Krishna, and Krishna Katha is Srimati Radharani. And the two should never be separated. And this is why Srila Prabhupada, traditionally, he would do kirtan, to use an expression, a New Age expression, it would open your chakras. It'll raise your consciousness something, take you away from your mundane problems. And then when your consciousness is a little cleared, then Srila Prabhupada would speak something. And then after speaking, again he would do kirtan, kirtan katha sandwich. Again he would do kirtan, because that final kirtan, then you have some substance to put into that kirtan. Because otherwise, if we simply do kirtan with no katha, then how is there consensus? We're coming together then primarily from music, but the feelings may not be so deep. And you don't know what everybody, some people may be thinking, well, I heard there's going to be some really beautiful girls here. And if I come to the kirtan, maybe I'll find a good wife, or I'll find a good husband. Someone else is coming, I heard they've got good food after the music. Someone else is coming because they want to rock out with the rock star musicians. For so many different reasons, people may be coming. Maybe some persons they're praying, please free me from my material desires. Someone else is saying, please give me liberation. And maybe one person is saying, please give me bhakti. But when we have Krishna Katha or drama, then everyone comes on the same page. It's a very, very important function. Therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, we can't separate the kirtan from the katha. And Kavi Karnapur says that Krishna actually entered into the gopis' hearts. I'd like to tell you some traditional story also in Orissa, which later I found, anyway, historically, this story is given there in Orissa, that in Orissa to this day, there's many dance troupes, drama troupes, My Guru Maharaj was very fond of them, some of the devotional ones, and they would invite them to come sometimes to Bhubaneswar. And they would traditionally do their dramas starting about 8 o'clock at night, and they would finish about 4 o'clock in the morning. They would just go all night long. And our Guru Maharaj liked it very, very much. And the devotees also would do such dramas. There's one drama where they were doing the Shringa Līlā. It's very appropriate to tell this story here. And the actors become so absorbed in the role that they're playing. The actor who was playing Lord Nrsimhadev, when he came out of the pillar, excuse my American English, but he was really pissed off. And he was just so furious. And he saw the actor who was portraying Hiranyakashipu, and as in the drama, he grabbed him, put him on his lap, and then, and the actor who was playing Lord Nrsimhadev actually pierced the abdomen of that other actor and ripped out his intestines. Mars has a very interesting sense of humor. And the actor playing Hiranyakashipu died. And so it was a whole thing. The police came and that, and the actor who was playing Lord Nrsimhadev was just kind of dazed. He was so much in the role that he wasn't even conscious about it. And another story also from Orissa. There's another. I'll go back to that same actor. There's another story about him. But another drama was there. They were playing Ramayana, Līlā, and the actor who was playing Hanuman, as part of the drama, it was outside, climbed a palm tree, coconut tree. And it's quite a tall tree, maybe it's 30 feet high or something. Climbed to the top of that tree. He didn't know at the top of that tree there was a crate, a very small snake. In Orissa, they call him the 3-step snake, because that's about how far you go after you've been bitten before you die. They're a deadly poisonous snake. And so he didn't know. This actor climbed to the top of the tree, and the snake bit him right over his heart. And he fell from the top of that tree, 30 feet, down to the ground. And then he got up and walked away with no harm, because he was so absorbed in Hanuman that there was no damage done to him. Well, let's go back to the previous story about the actor who killed that other actor. Nobody's going to want to play Nrsimha Līlā here after this story anymore. That the same actor who was playing Lord Nrsimhadev, later, after the police let him go, he was playing Ram Līlā, and he was playing the role of Dasarath. And when Lord Ramachandra left home, and in the drama, Dasarath began to lament and cry, and Dasarath in the drama dies, and that actor left his body. He died of it. That's real drama. That's the perfection of drama, as we find from Kavi Kanapur and others. Real. I'd like to just finish by reading a little something to you from a class that Srila Prabhupada gave very early in the movement. Because some of you may be thinking that what is Madhavananda doing, speaking about Ras Līlā, this is maybe not bona fide. This is a letter Prabhupada gave on November 15th, 1968 in Los Angeles. And it happened to be Ras Purnima Day. And some of the devotees knew about that. And Madhudvisa Prabhu, after Srila Prabhupada's class, Prabhupada asked, are there any questions? And Madhudvisa asking, Prabhupada, can you tell us something about the Ras Līlā? And here's what Srila Prabhupada said. Krishna's Ras Līlā should never be discussed in a public meeting. Thank you. It is most confidential. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never discussed it. He discussed Krishna's pastimes with the gopīs with his confidential circle of companions, but he never discussed it in public. And so Prabhupada goes on, this discussion of Ras Līlā is the summit of Krishna consciousness. It's not an ordinary thing. And Prabhupada begins to speak about how you can't understand it unless you're free from anarthas. And then Prabhupada began to speak about the Ras Līlā. So all of these brand new devotees. And he says, just kind of paraphrasing a little bit what Prabhupada said, they all love Krishna, and Krishna is the center of Vrindavan. So some of the girls, they loved Krishna. And a girl's loving means she wants Krishna as husband. But according to Vedic concept, the girls are married at the age of 12 to 16 years. The boys are married from the age of 20 to 24 years. So the girls were married mostly, but Krishna was not married. And some of the girls were not married. But all these girls were very fond of Krishna. So from the childhood, they were friends. So Krishna used to play his flute, and all the girls would come. So this Ras Līlā was performed on this day. Krishna, on the full moon night, he played the flute, and the girls assembled, and there was a dance. Just like the ballroom dance in your country. But the specific significance of this dance was that Krishna bifurcated himself. Bifurcated means that he manifested himself in different forms. As many boys as girls there were, and he began to dance in a pair. That is the sum and substance of Ras Līlā. So if you go to Vrindavan, Prabhupada said, and if you'd like to dance with Krishna, the facility is there for you. That is the ultimate goal of our life. If you want to love Krishna as the gopis loved him, you can have the chance. Or if you want to love Krishna as his cowherd boys did, that opportunity is also there. If you want to love Krishna as a child, that chance is also there. Any capacity, you try to love Krishna. Krishna consciousness means to practice Krishna consciousness while we're in this material body. And after giving up this body, we enter into the spiritual realm for factually participating with Krishna. That is the Krishna consciousness movement. So, if you want to enter into the Ras Līlā, if you desire that, you should love Krishna as the gopis did. Then you'll have the same perfection. There's no difficulty. It's not at all difficult. Simply you practice. But you have to forget the Ras Līlā of this material world. Otherwise, there will be havoc. That risk is there. Oh, Krishna enjoyed with so many girls. So let me also become Krishna and enjoy. Then everything is finished. So I'm going to stop here. We have a few minutes left. Maybe Krishna-Kshetra Maharaj, you want to correct me on something? I'm sorry if I spoke too quickly. I was a little trying to pack everything together.
Hari. Of this, complete with some performance, sort of interwoven with some of the ragas and raginis. Anyway, I'm just thinking aloud. But you did make me think twice about participating, especially in an Orient drama. It sounds dangerous. But it does point to something that I've reflected on and also read something about, is that the stage is a place of magic. As soon as a stage is established. And like yesterday evening, what was the stage? The stage was a bit of clear space. We didn't need to have a, special thing arranged.
Sometimes it's on the street.
Yeah, street. So a stage becomes magical as soon as performance begins. And I've always found that fascinating myself, because I think we all experience. Did you experience that last night in the performance? Yes? No? Yes. And another thought I had, you made the important point that there are three elements to any art. The third one being the audience, and as you well know, the technical term for a qualified audience is sahridaya, literally with heart. So there is a resonance that is created between the performers and the artist. But what I was thinking about in relation to this is that it seems to me, and maybe you can comment on this, there's a lot of engagement. There's a demand, practically, that the audience use their imagination. So, for example, yesterday evening, the performance we saw, so wonderful. The first thing we had to imagine was that all these young ladies were men. Right? And, you can think back on the drama. We had to imagine that Taralakshi and Madhyana Līlā were deities of Gaur type, right? They were very special deities because they would hold their hands one way for some time. And then you almost didn't notice, but you look back and they were in the opposite direction. But it wasn't that any of us stood up and said, no, you're a deity, you can't do that. Right? It was somehow that we want everything to be the real thing, and so it becomes the real thing in a way. And you mentioned that the players of Ras Līlā in Vrindavan, who are all children, and they're all boys playing the parts of gopīs, of girls, and in the end, Radha and Krishna, who are two young boys, are sitting on a throne, and everyone comes up and offers obeisance and offers gifts, donations, because they see this is Radha and Krishna, this is Swarup. So for me, it's a bigger question. What is the place of, and I don't know if the acharyas discuss this very much. What is the place of what we call imagination in devotional life, devotional art? Before you reply, though, I want to share an experience I had. Speaking of Ras Līlā in Vrindavan, I was very fortunate in 2001 to be invited to attend a quite exclusive performance over several days of Ashtakaliya Līlā at the Chaitanya, Chaitanya Prem Sangstan, where what they were doing was, in a sense, bringing all of the worship of Krishna from behind the curtain. Much of the worship that goes on in the temple is behind the curtain. In this case, they were in effect bringing out to see everything that was being done in the worship, everything in slow motion, together with the musicians were performing, and when they had the scene I especially remember is Krishna and Balaram returning from the forest in the afternoon. So they would have each day the performance at a different time of the day. It would start at 9 and go till 12 in the morning, and the next day from 12 to 3, and the next day from 3 till 6. And like this, they were going around the entire 24 hours. So it was the afternoon. Krishna and Balaram were returning from the forest. Krishna and Balaram were two deities, Utsav Murtis, and they were being carried by two priests in slow motion, and then they would be put on the altar, and then bhoga offerings were offered to them while the music is going on, and we all got to see how they would enjoy. And then some of the priests became entertainers for Krishna. In fact, they even brought out a sort of quasi high wire and had dolls dancing on the high wire. And they had one of the musicians did a performance with a spinning fire baton sort of thing.
Wheel thing,
yeah, fire wheel. And like this, they were entertaining the deities. And from that, I could understand, this is deity worship. Because you felt that, yes, Krishna is present. Krishna and Balaram are present. And it was with audience, and it was drama. It was magical. All of that said, the sort of intellectual question in my mind, and maybe you have some thoughts on this, is what can we say about imagination? One comment from Srila Prabhupada on imagination, some devotees have heard me refer to it. In one lecture, he said, you can imagine a diamond throne in your heart. And then he pauses for a moment, and then he says, it is not imagination. So he's beginning to tell, a meditation on Krishna in the heart on a diamond throne. So he says, you can imagine. And then he says, and then he's correcting himself, it is not imagination. So what is it?
We have to have an image. Well, first of all, where does the image come from? And that's the role of guru. That's the role of pracharak, the speaker. That's the role of the actors in the drama. He gives it in his Gauragovinda Smarna Archana Padati. Srila Jandelsbrunn Goswami, it's a famous verse, maybe some of you know. He says, Mano madhye sthitam mantra, mantra madhye sthitam manaha, mano mantra samayuktam etadi japa lakshanam. That this is japa lakshana, this is the characteristic of real japa, that when the mind and the mantra become one. So when we get that mantra, which we could say is a concept, it's not just the mantra. Therefore, Raghunath Das Goswami begins his Mukta Charit by famously saying that Nama Shreshtam Manamapi Sachi Putra Matra Swarupam, that I've gotten the topmost name. Well, name is a name. What do you mean the topmost? Because there's a conception. And Jiva Goswami in Laghu Vaishnav Toshani, in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam, says there's two types of chanting. There's Kebala Nam, common chanting, it's in the dictionary, anybody can do it. And there's Sneha Samyukta Nam. And Sneha Samyukta Nam means that name with affection. And that comes when we hear something. So it's how can we have imagination without an image? And with that image comes from guru, it comes from the arts, comes from the artist. And then from looking at that painting, from hearing that music, watching that drama, then our mind can go further. because all those different arts, in one sense too, are like signposts saying, go this way. And with your imagination, you can go something further. And of course, imagination should be according to sadhu, shastra, and guru, but we should be trained for that. And as we keep chanting and getting trained, then our mind becomes one with that mantra. Our mind becomes one with the heart of our Gurudev. And that, for me, is imagination. Does that make sense, Maharaj? Okay. They asked me to stop exactly at 9. Can we ask for anything more? I was going to ask Ramana Sukha Prabhu especially. I know he likes the arts very much. Is that okay? And Līlā Prabhu, I don't know. Ramana Sukha Prabhu, do you have any comments? Ramana Sukha Prabhu likes the arts, and he also likes Lord Shiva very much. I know. Who's the head of the arts. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, I don't want the class to go too long, but you're mentioning, Rupa Goswami, Vidagdha Madhava, Lalita Madhava. These are actual dramas in our tradition. Have you seen any communities where they're actually trying to do something like that, or is it something that in the future it will happen?
I've heard that in New Brajadam they performed one or both of those dramas some time back. Was it Lalita Madhav some years back. And I've also heard, Maharaj, have you heard anything more about that? I've heard that traditionally they were actually doing the dramas in Sanskrit. But see, there's a problem here. If we watch Odissi dance or Bharatanatyam dance and you see the girls doing all these things, you say, wow, she's really flexible. That's what it says to me. But you don't understand. There's a chakra, and there's the nipples of a cow. You don't understand. Those mudras mean something, and there's bodily. So the audience also has to be educated. And if you speak before an uneducated audience, it's very difficult. And the audience for Lalita Madhav is a very high audience. Because not only should they know Sanskrit and Prakrit, a lot of the conversations are like in Brijbas language, but it's also required that you understand Vaishnava literature and tradition and Vedic literature, because there's a lot of similes and a lot of double talk and different things throughout the drama. So it's quite a difficult thing. But yeah, I've heard that it was done before. I would like to see it done, but to see it done really first class, to the best, to last limit, everybody, the audience would all have to learn Sanskrit and Vedic literature. Is that a correct comment, you think, Maharaj? Okay?
But I mean, these dramas are there as part of our heritage, but it seems like out of reach in many ways. What you're saying is like...
But Srila, let me interject. Srila Prabhupada also encouraged, which is something we don't do in our society, and I'm not ready to be the first one to start, but Srila Prabhupada several times said you should also have songs in English. You should sing in your own language. Because I've seen so many devotees singing songs. We had one new bhakta when I was a bhakta leader in LA, and when we would sing the Prasadam song, one day I was standing next to him and I heard what he was singing. Sorry, I forgot the doll. He thought that's what we were singing. So, some qualification is required, but we can sing. Why not? Sing some, I don't know, sorry, I forgot the doll, but we could also have some songs in our particular language, which means something to our heart. The difficulty is, as far as I understand some letters from Srila Prabhupada, is that we really want to sing songs given by great personalities. Now, that doesn't mean there's no great personalities in our society. And Srila Prabhupada was very fond of the songs of your godbrother, who? Madhavananda Prabhu, no? My hearing's not good.
Mangalananda?
Mangalananda, yes. Exactly, who's been touring, I think, in Europe not so long ago, too. And Prabhupada liked a lot of his songs very much. But it's a little bit of a political thing, too, if you start singing in the temple. It's another thing. My thought. I'm sorry, please continue on.
No, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe one more from Līlā Puruṣottam. Loudly.
You already started now answering my question. I want to answer your expressing devotional sentiments through the, like, we would maybe call it something like trans-cultural, like not following the original culture with the instruments for the music, with the language of Sanskrit, Bengali either, or something, but we will like express it in a local way, even let's say a type of dance and whatever, but still we maintain that purpose, to that intention to glorify Krishna. And there is certain controversy among devotees, like some are in favor of that, some are like, no, we have to be only traditional, nothing else is valid really. So if you could share your thoughts, and maybe not like one point of view would be like, take it as a preaching strategy, if we use that word, like strategy for sharing Krishna consciousness. But my concern would be, can it also be like fully valid to nourish our devotion if we express ourselves in that art way that is maybe like closer to our condition, to our svabhava?
Let me talk about Ram Līlā for a moment. How many of you have read Valmiki Ramayana? Raise your hand, please. Okay. How many of you have read about Ravan building a stairway to heaven in Valmiki Ramayana? It's not there. But Srila Prabhupada told that story. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta told that story. And that story is found in the Bengali Ramayana written by the sage Kritibas. And also there's a story about Mahiravana, the uncle of Ravan, which is not mentioned in Valmiki, but Prabhupada also told about that sometimes. There are many different Ramayans, there are many different Mahabharats in Indian culture. And you might be wondering, well, is that really bona fide? It seems bogus. Somebody's writing something that's not the same as Valmiki. So how can that be considered like the Ramayana? I read a very interesting comment from a secular scholar about this, that he said that traditionally in Indian culture, it was considered very low class to just copy somebody else's ideas. And Kritibas might have done that with Valmiki. He could have just taken exactly what Valmiki said in Sanskrit and translated into Bengali. But he didn't, because in the traditional conception in Indian art, you should have your own expression. And when you're writing, when you're doing drama, when you're making some painting, it's not just a craft. Craftsmen are good, and craftsmen engage in art. It's also a kind of art, in reflection of what I was saying last night. Craftsmen are also art, but real art, a real artist is a very extraordinary person, and it may be very, very rare, just as a real, genuine, pure devotee is a rare thing. But at the same time, the craftspeople, they're doing art to the best of their ability. But real art means that something comes to our heart and it's inspired. There's some divine inspiration. And the artist becomes empowered by Krishna to speak something, to tell a story, to make a painting, to sing a song, to do a drama, and communicate with other persons. That's wanted. That's needed. Yeah, otherwise, if we just paint, everybody here, we have a painting seminar, and everybody paints a Mona Lisa painting. We have a bunch of flat imitations, which probably are not so nice mostly, of a famous painting. We want something which is inspired from the heart, from devotion. That's bhakti. Bhakti's not a one-dimensional thing. Bhakti's not static. Bhakti's ecstatic. It's required. Is that helpful? Okay. So we should, last comment, I'm going to get in trouble. Don't blame me, blame her, okay?
Thank you so much for such a beautiful class and helping us to be more present what drama actually means. And you also said that there's effects that drama has in a consciousness. Of course, one of the points you said that it gives us, we come all in the same page, but can you please share more about what is the effect on our consciousness?
We can begin to understand feelings. And that's why it's very important that devotees, Srila Prabhupada said in that letter I read, that devotees do the dramas and not non-devotees, because devotees can understand the feelings. But our heart is like a desert. I have no feelings. I want feelings. And therefore, the dramatic artists should be serious devotees. It's just as Srila Prabhupada himself is playing the role of Advaita Acharya, and it moved the heart so much of people. So when we see the devotees doing it, we can understand something of those emotions. Just as I mentioned last night, Srila Prabhupada had told some devotees in Australia, don't think that you're devotees. Rather, you should think that you're like actors on the stage. You're not really devotees. But there's a benefit to being an actor on the stage, because when you get in the role, when you get in the mood, then you begin to understand the moods of that personality. And if the person writing the drama is very qualified, like Rupa Goswami, if the director of the drama is very qualified, and he, in practice, he's during the practices, he's telling the actors, no, you need to be more sincere, you need to cry more, you're not crying properly, you need to have this emotion more. Maybe the director even sometimes acts out the part something for the actor, so the actor can understand the emotions more. So if the writer's good, and if the director's good, and the actors are good, then the audience, if the audience is also good, and they get tuned in, the manoma destito mantra, they become one with those emotions, just as a devotee becomes one with the mantra. Is that helpful?
Yes. Thank you.
So I think we should really stop there. There's a few comments or questions. If anybody has any, you can come and see me later on. Thank you very much. Not easy speaking in front of a lot of persons I don't know, and especially Krishna Chaitra Maharaj. Please forgive me. Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveda Bhakta Binda ke, Gaur Premanande. Vanchakalpatarubhishcha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. You know, I forgot one important thing. I'm very sorry, but I was going to pass this around. I won't do that. But this is drama. This is some photos that I put together of some deities you're not supposed to take pictures of. But this is Radha, Lalita, Tota Gopinath. And they say that Gopinath, he's the originator of the Ras Līlā. Now, why is it that Lalita is standing in Tribhanga like she's playing a flute? And why is Radharani acting like she's playing a veena? And why are they both black? I once asked a sadhu who had lived there for 40 years, Hari Krishna Das Babaji, this question, and his reply was very wonderful to me. He said, these are the deities of the Ras Līlā. And after Krishna left the Ras Līlā, the gopis, feeling so much separation and thinking of Krishna, Lalita and Radharani became black like Krishna. And then they began to act out the drama. And Lalita began to play a flute and act like Krishna. And Radharani, she's playing a veena during the Ras Līlā. She began to play the veena. So these are the origin of all the arts. If you want, you can come close and look at the picture afterwards. Thank you all very much.
His Grace Madhavananda Prabhu ki.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Thank you so much, Madhavananda Prabhu, for this balm for the soul. Welcome to all the new guests that arrived to our retreat to Simhachalam Dham. So I just wanted to shortly announce that we will continue with the program at around 10 o'clock. Hopefully we can be here a little earlier. So everybody is welcome to go for breakfast. And those of you who didn't register yet, please, Amrita Lahar is just here at the reception desk outside of this door. So you can get your bracelet and then you're ready to just join us for all these activities. Today we have a long day full of nectar. So, and very important, Bhakta Brian is also sitting there in the reception. Please, all of you who are eager for service, he has loads. We need a lot of help with the festival. So thank you so much and see you soon. At 10 o'clock, before 10, please. Hare Krishna.